Hi, I'm Ross from Airsoft, and today we are taking a look at the NEXXUS SA HPA engine. So this HPA engine was just released by MechLabs, a company out of Europe. It is a fully mechanical engine that is specifically designed and marketed towards speed-soft style builds. So that's kind of its unique feature, is that it is both a mechanical engine as well as a specifically speed-soft built engine. The engine itself is a full V2 drop-in. It features this easy IGL swap right here at the bottom of the engine, and when we go through the assembly of the engine into this gun here, you will be able to see that it's pretty easy to swap your lines out there at the bottom of the engine. The trigger uses a magnet-based system. You also have adjustability and tunability in your trigger there, so you can adjust your trigger pull and length. It has a very snappy feel to it just because of how those magnets operate. So NEXXUS does make a adapter for the back of your engine that allows you to convert it to a tank stock with a built-in regulator. And then they offer this engine in a variety of colorways. I have purple, pink, blue, green here in front of me, as well as the black one installed in our Lancer Tactical here. So it is a semi and full auto engine, which is very unique in the sense that it is a mechanical engine that does do full auto, something that we don't really see on the market at all. Full auto is definitely one of the most impressive parts of this build. Seeing a mechanical engine that does full auto is both unique and impressive in its own right. They actually advertise to use a Flow Max regulator when using full auto to keep your PSI from kind of dropping as you're firing and losing some of that consistency. I'll say that personally, when testing this build, using full auto on our amped SLP rigs, we actually had no drop in PSI output. That could just be a specific build thing. But just something to keep in mind is depending on the regulator you're running, it might not be able to keep up with that full auto PSI from your NEXXUS. Another thing that NEXXUS advertises specifically with their engines is their air efficiency. They claim to be able to get over 3,000 shots with a 48 by 4,500 PSI tank. I'll say that the air efficiency I personally got out of this guy wasn't the best ever. I was running at about 120 PSI at 1 joule. But that being said, we do have about a 4-inch barrel here. So this build isn't quite as air efficient as it could be. When doing the Lancer build, some things to keep in mind: we were not able to put our body pin back in. There was not a body pin space on the NEXXUS engine for that. The IGL fitting at the bottom of the engine is quite large and required us to Dremel away a decent amount from your motor grip to be able to fit it in there properly. And then on the barrel, we had to use quite a few O-rings to get proper nozzle alignment. But overall, the install of the engine into the replica itself was fairly simple. It was pretty much just a take out your former gearbox, drop in the new one, and put it all back together. I was really impressed with how easy it was to really build this guy out. So I'm gonna just take you into the tech room real quick, and we'll take a look at the process for dropping this engine into our Lancer AirTac collaboration Gen 3 here. So we have the NEXXUS engine. It's gonna come in a box like this. You're gonna have the engine here, as well as a macro line, and then we have our selector plates and extra O-rings and this little pamphlet here that goes over some of the internal parts of it. We're not gonna need any of these extra bits, we just need the engine. And then we have our amped IGL, which we've made custom for the NEXXUS engine. And as I was saying earlier, it's super easy to install this guy. You're just gonna unscrew your fitting here at the bottom of the engine and screw your IGL in there. And that is really all there is to it for installing the amped IGL. You just wanna make sure you have a nice tight fit. And then I'm gonna hook it up to a little bit of air, fire off a few shots just to make sure that everything's functioning, we don't have any air leaks. All right, so it all sounds good. And now we are going to disassemble our Lancer AirTac Gen 3 replica here. So we're just gonna pop out the body pins first, remove our upper from the lower. We're gonna remove the motor out of the grip, and then we are gonna pull the stock off, and we have to take off their variable adjustment stock they have here and take the wires out, and then we're just gonna pull the entire gearbox out of the shell here. Then we're gonna take our NEXXUS, we're gonna make sure that our selector plate is lined up where it needs to be, and we're just gonna slide that guy straight down into the gearbox. Then we're gonna start reassembling it. We're gonna start with our mag release, And then we are going to throw the grip back onto it, add the upper back on, and reattach our body pins. And then we throw the stock back on. We're going to hook it up to air just to make sure that everything is functioning properly. And that's about all there is to it. Super simple, easy install. So the pros, I really enjoyed its snappy trigger response. When I had it out on the field, I was impressed with how it was firing and the performance I was seeing out of it. I'll say that the full mechanical engine, having no battery to worry about, just helps so much when being out on the field, and it's just one less thing to worry about. How easy it is to drop into a replica is also super convenient, being able to throw it in something, try it out, and then take it out again. It just really allows for a lot of customization with your builds. To get into the cons, unfortunately, this guy does have some cons in my opinion. The first of which being the fact that since it is a standalone drop-in engine, you don't have much for customization. So if you're going to be putting it into more of a unique, maybe a slightly off standard V2 spec, you might have some problems getting it to actually drop directly into your build. So just something to keep in mind is that, you know, you don't have that customization you might have with a standalone engine that you're putting into a gearbox. Additionally, you have no FCU, so that's going to limit your amount of adjustments you can make on how your actual engine is firing. I'll say that you know, a mechanical engine fires pretty well out of the box, but I know specifically for Speedsoft, which is what this guy is marketed towards, you really do want that fine tune and adjustment that you can get with like something like an F2, which you're just not gonna be able to see here. You do have your trigger adjustments and you do have your PSI adjustments, but otherwise you really don't have much adjustability with this engine. And then the final thing to say about it is that inside of it, there are a lot of O-rings. And now that might not be a problem on the surface. Over time, maybe a year or 2 years down the line, you might start to blow those O-rings. It is a new enough engine on the market that we don't know long-term how it's gonna perform. The engines are just so new to the market that it's hard for us to know the longevity of them out on the field and how much wear and tear they can really take before needing to be re-cleaned, re-lubed, O-rings replaced. It's really hard to tell right now. When you're comparing it to an engine like an F2, where we've seen it on the market, we've seen it perform for a number of years, we kind of know what parts need to be replaced, repaired, cleaned as time goes on. That is going to be a learning thing with the NEXXUS. As time goes on and as we get more time under the engine, we'll realize what O-rings burst first, what parts need to be replaced, and where the maintenance needs to be had on this engine. Right now, it's kind of a trial and error. I haven't had any problems with them at all, so that is a good thing, but just keeping in mind that with a newer company, a newer engine, there are problems that haven't been discovered yet that could come out later as people are running them and more people are getting them installed in their builds. Last but not least, I have some gameplay of me running it here at our home field, the Amped Airsoft Arena, so you guys can go ahead and check that out right now.
2, 1.
Come here, good shit. All right, and that is my review of the NEXXUS SA HPA engine by MechLabs. It's a pretty impressive engine. I would love to see where it goes in terms of builds, especially outside of the Speedsoft community. I know that they claim to have a milsim model that is going to be being released soon. I'm really excited to see what that entails and what all they come out with that. Overall, I'm really impressed with this engine. It ticked all the boxes for me personally. I know that, you know, if you do a lot of Speedsoft competitions and you are fine-tuning your builds, this might not be the exact engine for you, but I definitely think it's worth something trying out. You might really fall in love with the trigger pull and the way it feels in your hands. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and leave any questions, comments, or concerns down in the comment section below. I'd love to read them and get back to you guys about everything NEXXUS related. I hope to see you guys in the next one.